the first to know Nsem-Pii TV.
Honorable Ato Forson, SRSO Supreme Court Judge nominee Ekodi Nkomo. First off, ya share say na or suggest say judges na ebimu ye political judgment, and a judge Bakubuka said there's nothing like that in the Supreme Court. Another judge being so Wasanswa can sing dia eye wanwa kakra. Sa judge no judges or more Ghana possible so omuye unreasoned judges. I say judgment Nsem-Pii and I say reason bia entry. And then a judge can say Honorable Ato Forson yet ne pass or beches asem na or cannot say judges unreasoned judges in Ghana. You couldn't go to some other course or
just Justice J. from Pon. How do you assess religious tolerance in our country? State of religious tolerance in our country?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I answer this question not as a judge. I answer it as a citizen. And I should say that I am happy about how Christians, Muslims, and other religious groups are able to coexist. I read it somewhere, and I believe that was true, that the chief imam even made a contribution to the construction of the National Cathedral. I think if that is true, that is the single most important indicia of religious tolerance in Ghana, and we must be proud of it. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I know judges have their approach to law, and if I may ask, what is your judicial approach when a matter is before you?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. As a matter of principle, I believe that law must aid development, especially so when we are talking about a developing country like ours. And therefore, my interpretation of every law must be geared towards assisting in the development of our society. And of all the approaches, I think it's a purposive approach to interpretation that meets that test. And I go by that. Thank you very much.
Can you illustrate your judicial approach vis-a-vis any matter you have decided for us to appreciate your judicial approach?
It will be difficult for me to talk about it on top of my head as I sit here. I've delivered a number of judgments in this career, and if I could be spared this one. Thank you very much.
Before I conclude, I have two more. Let me ask you once again. There is this view out there that of recent, judges often delivers unreasoned ruling. What is an unreasoned ruling? And can you, as a seasoned judge, assure the nation that you will not be among those judges that delivers an unreasoned ruling?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm not sure about that perception anyway, but judges are doing their best within the constraints. As I speak with you, judges write record in longhand in many of the courts, and therefore times are difficult. That is not to say that when a judge sits, you bring up anything by way of judgment. In fact, it's been said that reason is the soul of the judgment. On appeal, what we look out for is the reason supporting the findings or the conclusions a judge has made. So reason is very important, and therefore an unreasoned judgment, of course, an unreasoned judgment is a judgment which contains no reasons supporting the conclusion. And I think that as much as possible, judges should not go that way. But I'm not too sure that there's that perception or the general perception that judges deliver unreasoned judgment. Of course, maybe we need to distinguish between some judgment or rulings are delivered summarily. Some of the decisions, to expedite the matter, you look at it, and then bench ruling, that is permissible. Bench ruling is also permissible, but generally, as much as possible, to the extent that reason is the soul of a judgment, a judge ought not deliver a ruling or a judgment without giving reasons.
And finally, have you delivered one before on reasoned judgment? Have you delivered one before?
Not that I can remember. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'll go straight to. I have only about 5 questions, so I'll go straight and then deal with it. Just 5. First, I'll refer you to your CV, page 3 of 6. Item 5 on leadership positions held. Item 5, leadership positions held. I've seen here 2018 to present, member board of directors, Esutifi Rural Bank PLC, part of the board to give policy direction to the bank. I've also read on some news portals that just last week you were sworn in again as the chairman of the board. During this period, have you been receiving salaries or some form of allowances?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My service on the board, first let me correct the impression which I think is inaccurate. Rather, I decided not to seek re-election. I was a member of the board, and I decided not to seek re-election at the AGM, which was held over the weekend. So I think the information that I was re-elected, I've never been a chairman of the board in the first place, and I've also decided not to seek re-election as at the time the AGM was held. So as I speak today, I'm no longer a member of the board. But what happened was that there is a rural bank within my community, and we're all trying to help. So I bought shares to support its funding activities, and at a point I was prevailed upon to sit on the board and support. And so I didn't see it as any conflict between that and my job as a judge. The board sits at most 4 times in a year. Meetings are held during weekends and all that. And I should say that it's not all meetings that I was able to attend. So basically, that was it. I was entitled to receive some sitting allowance as a board member. But to support the bank, what I did over the period was to create a savings account so that those monies will be paid into the account to assist in the liquidity situation of the bank. It's a struggling bank. And so I don't see it as something I have profited from. It was a sacrificial job virtually that I was doing. Thank you very much.
I heard you say that you paid it into a savings account for liquidity purposes. Did you pay taxes on this income? Because they are income.
Honorable Chair, as far as I'm concerned, they will deduct it at source, because the internal revenue, how do you call it? Ghana Revenue Authority would have to make sure that they are deducted at source. And so I think they were deducted at source.
But you still have to declare it as part of the requirement for tax clearance certificate. Because what was deducted was withholding, and you will have to declare it for final tax purposes. If they have to refund something to you, they do. If you have to refund something, you have to. So have you done that?
Honorable Chair, I will take steps to have it done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your honesty, because I was going to go on and on. Because your tax clearance certificate does not show that that has been done. It's only reporting your personal income tax and not other incomes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's a bill before Parliament. The full name of the bill: Promotion of Proper Sexual Right and Ghanaian Family Value Bills. The bill is before Parliament, and there has been a number of commentaries on this particular bill. Some argues that if this bill goes through, it will promote state-sponsored discrimination and violence. I want to find out your views on this matter. Do you think the passage of this bill will amount to discrimination against minority sexual groups? Is it the case?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I've followed the debate and the comment. Chair, my position on it is what the law says. Because as a judge, I must be obedient to the law. Fortunately, the bill is in this House. Comments are being made by stakeholders. I expect that this House, Honorable House, will consider all the comments and the issues that have come up, so that at the end of the day, they will come up with a law which will benefit every Ghanaian. And if it comes before me, sitting as a judge, and I have to determine an issue, then I'll be seized with the law and the facts, and then I'll apply the law to the facts as I'm supposed to do in accordance with my duty as a judge. Thank you very much.
Very smart and very...
Chairman, thank you.
All right. I wanted to ask a question on your... I see that on your CV, you are part of the team that evaluates the work of judges and magistrates. The perception that generally the quality of lawyers coming out of the school is a reflection of the work. Do you see a sign of a decline in the quality of work of judges and magistrates whose work you evaluate?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. As I indicated earlier, within the constraints, judges are doing their best. But of course, some of the case loads are so heavy that you are naturally incapable of delivering some judgments the way you want to. The last time I was talking to we were discussing this issue about concurring judgments. Sometimes, even at the Court of Appeal, you sit in conference and then you decide on a particular matter. And then one of you is nominated to write. But you realize that you would have wished to write a concurring decision in support of that. But at the same time, you also have your judgment to write. So you are constrained. So generally, I think because of the case load and all that, we are not coming up with decisions as they used to, we used to when the case load was not too heavy. But that is not to say that we are not doing our best. We are doing our best within the constraints. Thank you very much.
I'm only interested in the lower bench. the lower bench, magistrates and judges in particular, often, how do you assess, because the general perception is that, oh, the numbers are not many, or their quality is going down. Do you see that in their work when you evaluate their work, the judges and magistrates?
Honorable Chair, they are doing their best. And what we do, if we see any lapses, is to recommend a particular judge to the JTI for a special training to beef up the knowledge in that particular area of the law. That is how we handle it. But they are few.
All right.
Thank you very much.
That's good. Now on the workload, do you think that if you had seasoned researchers working with judges, it will help improve the situation?
Honorable Chair, thank you very much. I think it will help in no small measure. In other jurisdictions, judges have research assistants. They do all the research and then submit them to the judge. The judge only applies the information to reach a decision. So it's about half of the job done by the research assistants, and it will aid the process if we had that. But I think the issue is one of affordability. But going forward, we may think about that. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we thank you for attending upon the House to answer questions. But before I discharge you, I have to recognize some very big people who have been here with us. Some Court of Appeal judges have been here since morning. I see my Lord Justice Antonio Opong. I see my Lord Justice Stephen Opong. Oh, they want you to write for them to see you. Stephen Opong, Antonio Opong. Who was that Rose? You also called Antonio Opong. Are you a judge? Oh, Kafra. Sorry, I was calling justices. Who's there, Justice Obri? Jerome. Yes, my lord. Did I see Justice Obri also here?